to the Ecuador and Galapagos study abroad program in the summer of 2019, studying animal biology and everything.
All right, so what lengths of time, this is our first question, what lengths of time are you able to study abroad? And Cameron, we'll start off with you. You can share about going for a semester.
Okay, so the semester study abroad, you can go for 1 or 2 semesters. You're going to be required to take 12 credit hours of Purdue credits abroad, and there's 3 different types that you can go on, being an exchange program, a co-sponsored where you're going on a stay abroad trip essentially through a sponsored education organization, or you can directly enroll at that university.
So the next kind of study abroad program that you can do is a long-term summer program. These usually range from 6+ weeks. There can be up to 6 or plus credit hours. Usually these are internships, independent work, research at partner universities, or sometimes there are organized programs by the partner universities that you can be a part of. So yeah.
The other term that you can go in the summer is short-term summer. So these are typically 2 to 4 weeks. You earn 3 credits typically. And then there's normally around 10 to 30 Purdue students in the group.
When you're looking at the more short-term programs, when you're going on a winter break program, like Mallory just mentioned, it's a 3 credit hour program. However, I know like the trip that I went on, there was a class leading up to the trip. Then we went on the trip, and then there was a class post-trip. So that was how we gained the 3 credits, but it's not necessarily like that for any program. So with the short-term winter or with any of the other programs you're looking at, just make sure you know how those credits are allocated and how you're getting them.
So the spring break trip is usually it's a week long. So mine was 7 days, and you can get 1 to 2 credit hours during that. And there's usually mine had about 24 students on it, but they're usually around 10 to 20 or 10 to 30 students. Kara, you're muted.
Thank you for letting me know. I believe Brooke just joined us, so Brooke can share about her name and major, her year, and when she studied abroad and where she went.
Sorry about the late joining. My Wi-Fi was not working. So my name is Brooke Evans. I am majoring in agribusiness management with a minor in HR. I went to Italy in the summer of 2019, and the summer of 2020, I was supposed to go to Greece, but you know, Corona didn't quite work out. But I'm excited to be with you all today.
So, Brooke, since we were just talking with you, why did you study abroad, and why should students study abroad?
I studied abroad because I am from a really small town, and it's not very diverse. There's not a lot of people that leave. So I just wanted to get out and try new things. I signed up for a program really without looking into it fully, which I don't suggest, but it turned out amazing. I was able to go to Italy, and we visited 3 different major cities: Florence, Cinque Terre, Parma. And we got to experience all these different things. And the best thing that I probably took away from it, and why I think that you guys should study abroad too, is getting to learn how to communicate with people who are different than you in different cultures, and just kind of see how other people live. And it was just a great experience, and I highly encourage anyone else to do it as well.
And Cameron, why did you study abroad, and why should students study abroad?
So mine was pretty similar to Brooke's. I also wanted to see agriculture around the world. So originally I was scheduled to go to Haiti, but due to some unforeseen circumstances, we ended in Peru. So I got to see a completely different side of the agriculture spectrum than I was expecting compared to Haiti. And I would encourage students to study abroad because in one of my classes here, they point out there's stuff that you know that you don't know, and then there's things that you don't know that you don't know. And you're not going to find those things that you don't know until you're studying abroad and in this situation.
So let's talk about finances a little bit. So what about scholarships or financial resources that are available and out there for students to study abroad?
So for the estimated cost of programs for usually the spring break or winter break program is usually $3,000. This includes the flight, some meals, medical insurance, transportation, stuff like that. For the short-term summer programs, they can range anywhere from $3,000 to $6,000. The long-term summer programs, so you pay your summer tuition for Purdue. So that is a little nice benefit. So whatever you pay for your summer tuition here is what you pay for your program. And then for semester/exchange programs, you pay the Purdue tuition as also. So all you'd have to pay extra is your flight, living expenses, etc.
And as for scholarships, there's a lot of different options. So you could get a Purdue Move scholarship. I know I got that one for mine, and it definitely helps out. You can apply it to any length of program, and then the amount just varies based on the duration. And then depending on your department, like within your major and College of Ag, they may have some additional scholarships. And then there is the NISO office, which stands for National and International Scholarship Office, and they will have some too. And then also, whenever, if you do a semester and you do the program where you would pay what you pay to go to Purdue, that does include if you have any scholarships already applied to your tuition here. So they wouldn't go away because you go study abroad.
I'll pause there for a second and let me try to share my screen to show you a little bit more on the scholarship page and where to find the scholarship page. So I think you can see my Purdue Study Abroad website. You guys shake your head if you can see that. Great. So then under Outbound Students, you'll see financial resources. And this goes to the study abroad scholarships that Mallory was talking about here. And you click on that. And she mentioned the Purdue Move Scholarship. You will find it under a semester option, Purdue Move Semester Study Abroad Scholarship. And on here it is based on your financial income. There's a chart here. So if your family's income is less than $175,000 or more, or less, then you can get some funding. So for a semester, you can get up to $5,000. And then also on the other screen, I'll show you that the Purdue Move Scholarship is also under summer and short-term options that are available. So thank you for talking a little bit more about scholarship, and this is where you can find more information on the screen. I assume that was following from screen to screen. All right, so a little bit more about finances. Grace, do you have any story or personal experience you want to share?
Yeah, so for me, I know especially in agriculture, companies are always more than willing to be there to help students pursue a career in agriculture. So specifically being in the College of Ag, looking at study abroad, there's a lot of opportunities outside Purdue for financial aid and scholarships. So I know that for me, getting to go to Haiti was possible because I approached companies and I said, hey, you know, I already have this covered for my tuition. I know your scholarship is normally a tuition-based thing, but would I be able to use it for a food security study abroad in Haiti? And there was not a single company or scholarship that I gotten that said no. So because of that, I was able to go to Haiti. So I would also encourage anyone that may find a financial barrier for study abroad to reach out to other scholarships outside of Purdue because there are tons of opportunities, especially in the field of agriculture.
So there are some options for financial aid. For when you do the long summer programs that are 6 credits or more, or you do a semester-long program, you can still have your financial aid that you receive through Purdue applied to your study abroad program.
I would also like to encourage anyone thinking about studying abroad to just study abroad anyways, which is probably something you don't want to hear, but it's truly once in a lifetime opportunity. And Purdue also does a lot of the work, so it's a stress-free planning because they plan it for you for the most part.
Great, thanks for sharing a little bit more about the finances, as this can be a major concern of students and parents and any guardians or family members trying to finance it. But like you said, Emily, it's definitely worth all your money to study abroad. The experience is definitely priceless to go. So students gain usually a lot of intercultural competencies while they are studying abroad in their experience. Some skills gained is communication, independence, self-reliance, cultural awareness. So these are just a few of adaptability, problem solving, leadership. What skills and characteristics did you guys gain during your study abroad experience? Feel free to share a story if that's better a way to connect what you actually gained from your study abroad experience.
For me, something I really didn't expect to gain when I went to Haiti was an awareness and a bit of empathy. Stepping off the plane, going through the small Haitian airport, and then actually getting onto the street, I was absolutely shocked by the state of the houses and the trash that was everywhere and the unclean water. And I know that it really gave me a very, very deep appreciation for everything that we have here at Purdue. And so there was definitely that part of the beginning of the trip. And then we actually got to go to a college in northern Haiti. And so while we were at this college, we presented a symposium to students at the university. And what was absolutely the most incredible part of the symposium was when suddenly we were in a classroom, we were doing some math about poultry feed rationing, and all of the students in the classroom just erupted. Haitians are very emotional people, and they all started yelling at each other, and our translator was yelling back at them. And then he looked at us and he was like, "You forgot a percent sign on the equation." And they noticed it, and they don't think you can just throw in a percent. So it was what was really incredible is seeing people that live in conditions that we absolutely cannot imagine, but we're so excited about poultry feed rationing, and be able to learn something here that we take for granted really gave me empathy, and realizing that people struggle, and that there's people out there who are absolutely willing to learn and love to be in that sort of an environment. So empathy and awareness for other people's situation was definitely something I gained while in Haiti.
I would say something I learned was cultural awareness. At the beginning of before I went on my first study abroad, I hadn't even been on Purdue campus for school or anything. So I kind of was jumping into deep water, and the first study abroad I went on in Italy really taught me how different cultures are, and I didn't really realize how big of a difference that makes in our daily lives. So that ended up leading me to go on another study abroad experience because I wanted to learn more about different cultures. And I think that has really shaped me to the person that I am today. I definitely would recommend studying abroad. You don't really expect to pick up on those little things when you're in country, but then you do, and you are very thankful that you have.
Something that I learned was adaptability. I'm the type of person, like, I hate change. I like things to go like a certain way, like I plan them. And so while on my program, things change, and that's just how it is. Either it's a rain delay and we have to switch up our plans and do something we had planned a different day. At first it really stressed me out, but then I learned that change can be good, and it's good to adapt in these kind of circumstances, and I really value that.
Something I learned was more about agriculture, I guess you could say. It really gave me the chance to broaden my horizons and see things that you can't really see here in America. I got to see olive trees and some of the finest wineries in the world, and it was just really an eye-opening experience on how different things can be when you're in a different country, and like the different practices that they use as opposed to things that like we do here in the United States. So just overall, it was really eye-opening, and it taught me to be a little bit more open-minded when I go and do different types of experiences.
For me, I definitely became more self-aware of my predisposed biases. So I was at an organic dairy in the mountains when I was standing outside of the production plant talking to Dr. Russell about, well, they could do this or that about using U.S. agriculture practices. And he kind of looked at me and said, yeah, but that's the U.S. agricultural practices. That's not here. You have to take into account their circumstances and look at what they're doing best, which showed me that I kind of need to be aware to self-check myself occasionally.
I think the biggest skill I learned was about my independence. I came from a very small town. I had never been on a plane by myself, but this was the first trip that really pushed me out of my comfort zone and definitely made me grow up and realize that I was capable of things that I didn't think I was before.
I think one thing from mine that I gained was various ways that leadership looks, because our program was called Global Leadership in Peru for Freshmen. So we focus heavily on cultural awareness, sustainability, and then leadership skills. So you don't always have to be the loudest person talking in the room to be able to be a leader. You can lead through, empathy, as Grace said, or challenging the process, having a different idea. So we were able to specifically we had to come up with ways that we could do that through our 2 weeks, and then through our semester class afterwards of ways that we pushed ourselves to be leaders in ways that we hadn't done previously.
You're muted again.
I just need to not make sure I don't mute myself. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for talking about your intercultural competencies that you gained, the skills and characteristics. So I want to circle back to let you know for the attendees that are there, if you have any questions for our panelists, make sure to either put it in the chat box or the Q&A, and you can select specifically sending it to the host or the panelist if you desire. I don't think anyone has put a question in there. I probably should be checking that, but feel free to ask a question. And I want to say again that this is International Week, hosted by International Programs in Agriculture, IPIA. And I want to share with my screen once again to let you see the website, or actually this is the email that was sent out about International Week that is happening this week. And today we are focusing more on study abroad and the study abroad highlights. Today the International Ag Ambassadors had an Instagram takeover, so thank you everyone for taking that over. And we have this Q&A session now. There's also a playlist of all the videos about study abroad and different programs that have gone and more information. So make sure to check out that playlist if you haven't already. Tomorrow will be about projects that are internationally focused, and there'll be many documentaries for you to watch. On Wednesday will be more about research, international research. 3 members of the IPIA's Faculty Advisory Board will talk more on a round table discussion. On Thursday is about Zamorano University, and we'll watch video postcards from students that are here at Purdue from Zamorano University, which is in Honduras. And then on a Friday, we have a special guest that will talk more about the Hardin Award. It's the first year for this Hardin Award, giving to 5 different individuals. And this is the website link that you can check more about International Week. And each day that we post, that's when the link will become available on that certain day that we celebrate. So I'll stop sharing my screen, but make sure to join us for future days this week of highlighting IPI International Week. Thank you for joining us today, and make sure to write a question if you have a question in the chat or the Q&A box. Here is a question. How do you apply to study abroad? What's the process? How do you find that?
So you can go onto the Purdue study abroad page on the internet, and you just find whatever program you want to apply for, and it's a really simple process. It takes about 5 minutes, and it just really says that you fill in all your information and basically just states that you're interested in the program. And then after that, if you get accepted, you have to pay a $500 deposit, and then that saves your spot for the program.
What is one thing you wish you knew before you studied abroad?
One thing that I wish I knew is don't pack so heavily. I know it's very small, but you won't need all the clothes you pack. You'll have every opportunity to do what you need to do. But when you're in these countries, you'll see different things that you'll want to buy to remind you of your time there, and to, I don't know, stop and talk to people about these things on the street. Like there's street vendors a lot, depending on where you go. So don't pack so much, because you will get a lot more from bringing things home than you get from bringing things to that different country.
For me, I just kind of wish I had known what I was signing up for. Like I said, I kind of jumped at the bit, not knowing what I was signing up for, going to Haiti, and then somehow managed to wind up going to Peru for December. So I wish I had known that, and I wish I had known that we'd be expected to barter while we were there. That wasn't something I expected to have to be able to do.
And that's a new skill that you gained too, so that's good. What do you want to share to encourage students to study abroad?
I would say the thing that I would think of is really just step outside that comfort zone. Doing my second study abroad program made me realize my career path wasn't the one for me, and that I wanted to change into wildlife. So I think really stepping outside that comfort zone can really show something about yourself that you didn't know, and lead to new opportunities that you never thought of before.
I think whenever you're talking about study abroad, the best thing to say about it is that it is best to just full send it. Look where you want to go, talk to people who have been, especially talk to your advisors or academic. It's like Kara about the programs and about what that's going to look like fitting into your course schedule. But the best thing to do is absolutely just to go. And if you want to go for a semester, go for a semester. I don't know that I've talked to someone who's been on a study abroad yet that has said they regretted it. And so I think most of the time what ends up happening is somebody goes on a study abroad, they love it, and then they pull an Emily and they go on 2 more. So I think that when it comes to study abroad, the best way to do it is just to do it.
And I think to add on that, you can always think of a reason to not do something, and then you could psych yourself out, like, oh, I could not live by myself in another country, and you can think of all these reasons, but those things you'll learn to adapt, you'll be able to get through it, and what you gain after it is worth so much more than what you're telling yourself why you shouldn't do it in the first place.
All right, what is a fond memory or a story, if you haven't told one, or if you have a different story to tell about your study abroad experience that happened? during your program?
Go ahead.
One of my favorite memories is just getting to know my group a lot. On that very first night that we were in Italy, we were in a little townhouse type thing. And Dr. Gunderson, who led the group, and his wife, Ailey, also came. And we decided to play euchre. I had not ever known how competitive Dr. Gunderson can be when euchre comes out. But I'm proud to say I beat him every single time that whole trip. He kept trying. But it was just really nice to get to know the professional or your professors on a different kind of level than you normally get to know them.
Something from my trip is that we always had the chance to, you could either go to bed early or you could stay up and hang out with everyone else that you went with. And so we usually all chose to stay up. And one night we went to the beach and there were locals there. There was like this little restaurant. It was outside and they were playing music and the locals kind of came up to us and they were trying to teach us how to do some of their dances, and then we decided we would teach them like the Cotton Eye Joe and stuff like that. And it was just so much fun seeing them learn kind of our dances, if you call the Cotton Eye Joe our dance, and like dancing with them. So that was something really fun.
I think a fun experience on my Galapagos and Ecuador study abroad was when we went snorkeling. We went snorkeling like every day, but the one day that we went snorkeling, we literally were swimming with the sea turtles and sea lions. They were just coming up to us and like just chilling by us. I thought that was a really fun experience because you don't really get to see that kind of stuff in America. Like the Ecuadorian Galapagos is just such a diverse hotspot for different species, so it was just something that you don't get to see once in a lifetime. So.
For me, I didn't expect to be as close with my group as I was. So I was in the O'Hare International Airport when I was talking to one of the adults on the trip. We had a 4-H leader go on the trip. We had 2 of them there with us. And it came out that I had never flown an airplane. And one of the fellow students kind of looked over me and said, "Yeah, if you have any issues flying, I've got you," because she had been through it all.
Something cool from mine, it's kind of like Sadie's. So since mine was the 2-week summer, we had a pretty scheduled itinerary, but we did have like break times where we could go out with friends and we didn't always have to be with the whole group. So there's a park near our homestay called Parque Kennedy, and it's nicknamed the Cat Park because there's just stray cats just living there and they'll be in the trees. So me and my actually current roommate now, we went to that park and we just sat down and we were like, oh, we'll just like look at the cats and stuff. And this one cat came around like a corner and then sat on my lap. And then the people who were at the park, like the local Peruvians, apparently that doesn't happen and that like nobody gets that close to the cats. So like people came and like talked to us and like took my photo because it was like so crazy that this cat was like letting me like hang with it. But then trying to get the cat off my lap when we wanted to leave was a little rough because they're not declawed, but it's okay. Got a cool picture of this cat, so that was kind of funny.
I think one of my favorite parts was from the trip was our first night. We got out of the van and the family that owned the like farm hotel that we were staying at had wine set up. They had a cooking class for us, so we all put on our aprons and we all got to work together to make dinner for everyone.
One thing that I think about Haiti was there was a huge language barrier, but getting to interact with all the students was super, super fun. And it just makes me think of on the last day of our symposium, they got to teach us. And then after all of that was over, we got to kind of just sit around and talk to them, do a little bit of interacting. And a few of these girls who had been trying to kind of talk to, except, we don't even speak the same language, we would just like throw a couple words back and forth. And then we're standing out in this courtyard and one of them looks at me and they just start petting my hair. And then next thing I know, there's 3 of these girls that have split up my hair and are like trying to braid it into different pieces. because all of their hair is just so different, and they thought it was so cool that I had this blonde, like straightish hair. And so that was just a really fun interaction with them.
All right, so I think everyone was able to share a story. Now, what sentence or what encouraging words do you have to students? I know some of you shared already, but just like a short few sentences of encouraging them to study abroad.
I would say that given being in the College of Agriculture, we have a lot more opportunities for people than other places do. So I definitely would say take advantage of those. Just step outside your comfort zone, even if it's something that's not related to your major. It can still be worthwhile for you to go on that study abroad program. So even if at first you're kind of hesitant, just go for it.
I think also,
Sorry, go ahead, Grace.
My little blurb to students would probably be that it can be done. I know that when you're looking at study abroad, I think the first question that comes up is financials, which you talked a little bit about overcoming those barriers today. But whether it's financials or credit hours, or you're scared of flying on a plane, or your family that isn't necessarily excited about you leaving the country, I know that was part of my case. It can be done. So with that being said, I think that that's my best advice to anyone looking to study abroad.
My advice would be,
Go ahead.
my advice would be to just do it, because I don't think I've ever heard a single person say that they regretted studying abroad. So I think you would regret it more not going than ever going at all. So just do it.
I would say there's always going to be a reason or several reasons that you can think of not to go. Those are always going to be there. But here we have so many opportunities, especially within the College of Ag. These opportunities you're not going to get anywhere else. So I would say do it while you can. And it's just an experience you'll never forget.
I'd echo that and say this is probably the easiest time for you to go in your life. You don't have many commitments. Plus, you have a really good staff here at Purdue backing you, with Kara being there to give you any advice you need, or your academic advisors being able to point you in programs that fulfill those requirements for your major.
And I think, now is such a good time because it builds in with college. And, when I've talked to like aunts and uncles and stuff, and they're like, oh, it's so hard to study or just to travel because they have jobs, kids, other commitments. And so if you have the time now, take it. And then especially with these programs and these professors making it intentional about what you learn, because you could go somewhere and come back and like be like, okay, cool, and nothing would have changed. But these programs like make you, learn, think about things differently, and like really challenge your prior beliefs. So definitely worth it.
What study abroad experience had the longest lasting impact on your life? Or what gave you the biggest perspective and like the shift in your own life?
I think for me, I kind of already said this, but when I was on the Galapagos trip, and I don't remember what day it was, but we were doing our journal work, working with the species that we saw, and we saw a breeding facility of tortoises, and it just really made me realize how much I want to be involved in something like that, where I'm actually like hands-on making a difference in something that I really, really care about. So I think that's really what shifted me into the next point in my life, which is studying wildlife and being conservationist. So I think even if you don't realize at that moment of time that that's like gonna majorly impact you, I think it still does.
I think for me, it goes back to what I kind of mentioned earlier about that empathy and that awareness. Going to Haiti, just seeing everyone be so excited about everything that was going on and them not having the resources really was the first college experience where I was like, oh, wow, there is more than small town Indiana and Midwestern corn. So I know that that was really like my first step into understanding diversity in other cultures and inclusion of other people and how truly different everyone is based on where they come from.
I think for me, it was a real sense of gaining a new independence because for my program, I didn't know anybody else that was on it, and it was before I had even got into Purdue. So, kind of fresh out of high school, going to a new country with new people, doing a new type of classwork, and then also being expected to navigate my way through a proven city with, just my iPhone and like one friend. So, just learning like those life skills like street smarts and then knowing that like okay yeah I can do this on my own and I don't have to like have someone with me the whole time like the whole way through and that's can like go on forever in my life, so definitely independence is what I would say.
I would say that the biggest thing I took away was the flexibility I kind of learned. Like Sadie said, like I'm a very scheduled out person, and when things change, it's kind of tough on me. But it was really hard to keep to a sure schedule every day when we didn't know if the bus was going to break down, or we didn't know how late we'd be out, or how early we'd have to wake up until right beforehand. So it was just being able to adapt and be able to be flexible in those times, and not really knowing the landscape or the people, and just being able to figure it out for myself, and just really bend and move to whatever came our way.
Mine is very similar to Mallory, like independence. When I first came to Purdue, I have a twin sister, so I've never had to really do anything by myself. I've shared everything. And so coming to a brand new school by myself, and the very first semester I was here, I was like, I'm going to sign up and go out of the country for the very first time all by myself without knowing anyone. I was like, why did I do that? But from doing that, I love it. It's one of my favorite things I've ever done. And now I know that I can do things by myself, and it's just something that I'm very appreciative of.
All right, thank you for sharing those instances. So if we have any last minute questions, you can gladly type them in the chat or the Q&A questions there. Thank you for joining us. And as we talked about study abroad and highlighting the International Ag Ambassadors, I really greatly appreciate their time and sharing their expertise and their passion for study abroad and encouraging other students to take the opportunity that's out there, because college life passes very quickly, so you need to take advantage of all the opportunities that you have. And as we know with coronavirus, that has cut down some opportunities, and it hurts not to be able to travel as we once did, but soon we will be able to travel internationally. So make sure to check out the International Week website from IPIA that I put in the chat box. I also put some other links in there as well that you can explore and check out more things. Thank you for sharing, and of course, feel free to contact me. I am Kara Hartman and work in the Ag Study Abroad website or office. I'm trying to type. I'll put my contact information in the chat box. My email address is agabroad.purdue.edu, and you have the website, and also we can connect over Zoom or over the phone or in person, however you want to meet, but gladly connect with me and check out the different opportunities that are out there. Does any ambassadors have anything last minutes to say? This part of it was recorded as soon as I remembered to hit record, and that hopefully will be up on the website for others to view as well. So if you have others that might want to join in, they can check it out later on. So thank you. Happy IPI International Week, everyone. Thank you, International Ag Ambassadors, and we look forward to seeing you soon as you study abroad and take advantage of the opportunities that's out there.